I had Devin Haney winning the fight. Uh, I had Devin Haney winning the fight, and I scored it 117 to 111 for those non-boxing individuals. That basically means I scored it 9 rounds to 3 in favor of Devin Haney. I thought Devin Haney won the fight uh, convincingly. I think the major issue with the fight is a lot of those rounds that Devin Haney won are those supposed swing rounds, meaning the round could go to Devin Haney or the round could go to Vasil Lomachenko. Basically, not a lot happened during those rounds. Now, in terms of my scorecard, the only rounds I was able to find to give to Loma was round 3, round 10, and round 11. And for those individuals to say Loma was robbed, I think they are swayed by a few things. First, they were swayed by the fact that um, every time Loma did anything, the crowd just went wild. So the crowd went wild every time Loma did anything. I remember one instance he had a little flurry where he threw like a 4-punch combination, but only one of those 4 punches landed. And they acted like, Loma did so much. He didn't do anything in that particular instance. He didn't land any of those punches for the exception of one punch. So that's one thing. And then the next thing is, we talk about this all the time. Our very first show, on here on the Southern Baller Show, of course, we primarily talk about HBCU sports, football in particular. We just talk about football in general. That's why, we're the Southern Baller Show. But the thing about it is, on our very first show, we talked about the dying days of HBO Championship Boxing and how I couldn't stand HBO Championship Boxing because it was, from a racial standpoint, it was so blatantly biased against black fighters, right? And unfortunately, Timothy Bradley, even though he's black, he was so biased against Devin Haney, and he was so much in Vasil Lomachenko's favor. It was just ridiculous that, he was just so much in Loma's favor. I think that swayed a lot of fans thinking that Loma did more than he actually did. And I'm going to just be truthful. The final component of it is just the racial dynamic. I've seen a lot over the years, whether it's Floyd Mayweather Jr. against Jose Luis Castillo, Floyd Mayweather Jr. versus Marcos Maidana, Andre Ward versus Sergey Crusher Kovalev. You can see with Wilder Fury. In many of these instances, these fights are completely different in terms of the way things play out. But more than anything, because even if you look at the Fury Wilder fight now, with Devin Haney and Vasil Lomachenko, basically they gave Loma rounds that Loma really didn't do nothing in those rounds. He really didn't do anything. So they gave him the benefit on the scorecard, those quote unquote swing rounds. And on the flip side of it, with Wilder and Fury, especially the first fight, those early rounds where, Wilder was pressing Fury, and even though he wasn't landing anything, he was the aggressor. Fury wasn't doing anything. He was, feinting and shucking and jiving, and he really wasn't doing anything. And it gave Fury the benefit of those rounds also. So it seems as if there's a racial component, a racial dynamic to it, it's like they always give the benefit to the non-black fighter. And that's what happened in this particular instance. I mean, for this particular fight, there's so many moving parts. One thing that also aggravated me was the fact that, many individuals suggesting that Devin Haney should get rid of Bill Haney, because I don't know if you did, but I met Bill Haney at the meet and greet, this past August.
I did as well.
And they want Devin Haney to get rid of his dad as his trainer because they felt he didn't give him good enough advice going into the 10th and 11th round. Of course, he clearly and decisively lost those 2 rounds. Loma won those 2 rounds clearly. No two ways about it. But, Loma lost 3 fights and Loma lost to Devin Haney. But nobody is suggesting that Vasil Lomachenko get rid of his dad as his trainer. But yet on the flip side, they want Devin Haney to get rid of Bill Haney as his trainer. So I'm thinking to myself, this is ridiculous. This is asinine. And the crazy thing about it, for those boxing fans, Joel Judah, which is Zab Judah's dad, former welterweight champion, he's Zab is from what I'm understanding, Devin's godfather, or whatever the case may be, right? So Joel told him, well, first Bill told him, like, hey, just keep doing what you've been doing, throw the left hook, duck under, and go to sweeping right hand to the body. Essentially, that was I'm paraphrasing it, but that was the advice. And Devin Haney, Devin was like, no, he's figured me out. Like, I need to do something different. But Joel Judah told him, no, keep going to the body. And, Loma won the 10th round and 11th round. Because for those individuals that don't know, Loma is kind of like what Bernard Hopkins was in his prime. Bernard Hopkins was a slow starter. Really, Terrence Bud Crawford is also, but we're going to get to that a little bit later. So these fighters, they start slow. They probably spot their opposition like the first 5, 6, 7 rounds. And then they come on the second half of the fight. And that's what Loma did. He pretty much spotted Devin the first half of the fight. And he really went all out and tried to get the knockout and really press Devin Haney in the 10th round, 11th round. But when the 12th round came around, all that body work that Devin did in those early rounds with that sweeping right hand to the body, it paid dividends. And not only that, Devin Haney made the necessary adjustments. And, Loma said he took that round off. He didn't take the round off. He just ran out of gas. And, Devin Haney won the fight. And, I didn't like all the controversies surrounding it. The fact that you got Shakur Stevenson getting in the ring after the fight, basically saying that Loma was robbed. And, he
and then multiple people like Shakur Stevenson and even Tim Bradley after on live TV saying that he Lomachenko was robbed after sitting back, and they probably went back home and rewatched the fight tape without any commentating and saw the highlights, or the tape. They came to that conclusion that Loma wasn't robbed, that David Haney actually did outbox Lomachenko for half of the fight. And of course, good shouts out to Lomachenko. He did for the last 6 rounds started coming on and being Lomachenko that his fans and what he's known for. But it was too little too late, in my opinion. Devin Haney did a great job in the earlier rounds. Like you said, the body work and the left hook. In my opinion, and Stormy B, man, salute to that brother. Please, if you want to watch or listen to a man who knows boxing and knows what he's talking about, please go subscribe to Stormy B, man. But he pointed out that Devin Haney did not jab a lot. He didn't use that wonderful jab that he has. But with me saying that, he still boxed beautifully.
Well, the thing about it is, I think the reason why he didn't use the jab, for one, is, Black Fight Fan, shout out to Black. He talked about this, the one show that he came back for. Basically, he talked about how, Loma doesn't fight well, backing up. So Devin Haney likes to box, and, his number one weapon is the jab. And Loma is synonymous for taking away the opposition's jab. So in addition to him taking away his opposition's jab, Loma fights better moving forward as opposed to backing up. And, Black said this during the fight. He yelled during the course of the fight, like, basically back him up. And, a lot of people saying that, the fight strategy that Devin Haney used against Loma, it wouldn't work against Shakur Stevenson, or it wouldn't work against Gervonta Tank Davis. But you got to realize Styles make fights, so he's not gonna fight those guys the same way he fought Loma. So I think that's the reason why he really didn't box the way he normally boxes. He didn't box, off the back foot. Basically, he came forward, and he knew that Loma was going to try to take away that jab. So I think that's the reason why he really didn't use it.
Okay.
And like I said, I didn't like all the controversy. Even with Shakur, I felt like he would have came in the ring and said after the fight, I thought it was a close fight. I think Loma won. However, I want to fight you next. However, he came in basically saying that Loma was robbed. Now you have to realize everything.
And then they end up retracting it later. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you have to take it with a grain of salt because you have to realize Timothy Bradley was a top-ranked fighter for most of his career. And in addition to that, he works for ESPN. And essentially, he's a top-ranked employee. And the same thing with Shakur Stevenson. So, all that rhetoric you have to take with a grain of salt. Now, in terms of the rappers like Nelly and Lil Boosie, I take all that with a grain of salt because, they're casual boxing fans. They don't watch as much boxing as I've watched over the years. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not some expert analyst, but at the same token, I've seen my fair share of fights, and I'm not fooled by the crowd noise. I'm not fooled by the commentary. I judge the fight based on what I see, even with the CompuBox numbers. A lot of these fights, a lot in this fight in particular, a lot of those punches that Loma got credit for landing, he really didn't land. He didn't land a lot of these punches flush or square. In many instances, he threw a punch and you see Devin Hay go back. Devin might be, trying to slip a punch. He might not land flush, but those punches to the body, he was landing those punches flush. So CompuBox numbers aren't always accurate. So you kind of have to take that with a grain of salt. And like I said, more than anything, like I said yesterday on Body Sports Talk, certain fights over the years, one fight that really kind of stands out in particular is when Roy Jones Jr. fought against Antonio Tarver the first time. And I scored that fight 115-113 in favor of Roy Jones Jr. But the issue with that particular fight is the rounds that Antonio Tarver won. He won those 5 rounds clearly. There was no dispute, even though he didn't do anything probably in a couple of those rounds for like 3 of those rounds. He didn't do anything for the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but he was able to steal a round in the last 30 seconds by getting Roy Jones Jr. on the ropes and throwing big flurries and, having Roy in trouble. And as a result, it made it look like he went in the fight. In actuality, you have to judge a fight round by round. So the 5 rounds Antonio Tarver won, he won clearly. And there was a lot of excitement going on in those rounds. Whereas the 7th-round Roy Jones Jr. won, except for those 2 championship rounds, for the most part, those other 5 rounds, he really didn't do anything. It was like a boring rounds. So the casual fans, they just kind of look at it with the eye test as opposed to judging it round by round. So they gave Antonio Tarver the benefit of the doubt, and they thought he won the fight, when in all actuality, Roy Jones Jr. won the fight, clearly, distinctly. He won these 7, and Antonio won those 5. And I think it was the kind of same thing with Devin Haney and Loma, even though I really don't see it because, those swing rounds that they claim, quote unquote, Loma didn't do anything in those rounds. So that's why I scored it 9 rounds to 3 in favor of Devin Haney. The only rounds I was able to find to give the Loma was round 3, round 10, and round 11, and that was it.
Yeah, I can see why you did that. Me personally, I think Loma, for again the last few rounds, he's won those except for 12. But what gets me, you have people act like now they never seen a robbery before, and this wasn't a robbery. The Sweet Pea versus Cesar Chavez Sr. was a robbery. That was a robbery.
Even go back recent, the Rolly Romero situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody talked about how much of a robbery that was. I mean, bro, he was knocked down, and he got up, and they stopped the fight. It was like that was a bad stoppage. It was
very bad. It was horrible.
Yeah.
And what gets me, you have these celebrities like
Lil Boosie, Nelly.
Lil Boosie, excuse me, and John Claude Van Damme are running their mouth saying that Lomachenko was robbed. Now, first of all, John Claude Van Damme, we heard about you beating up non-fighters on sets. And then when Michael Jai White, who was an actual fighter,
he didn't want him to smoke,
gets on set. I hate Vlad TV, but I don't like Vlad TV. But Michael Jai White has an interview with Vlad about John Claude Van Damme being a jerk on set, and he had to check John Claude Van Damme. If you hurt me, I'm gonna hurt you. And John Claude Van Damme didn't want no smoke, and he even go as far as saying John Claude Van Damme is not a fighter; he's an actor. So have a seat, sir. Lomachenko and Devin Haney are actual warriors. Have a seat. You're just an actor. You probably you're a perpetrator. You know how to throw punches, kicks, and everything. But if you get in there with somebody who know what they're doing, you get knocked the hell out. Have a seat, sir. This is the. I mean, you can have an opinion, but and excuse me. Let me shout out everybody in the chat. What up, Joseph Townsend? I appreciate you, brother. Brandon Brazil, boxing has been trashing itself with these politics. That's why UFC and other fighting has caught up. That's right, Brandon. That is right. I've been pounding the table on that Rolly fight. Yes, that was a horrible stoppage. Lunch break hot take. What up, man? What up, everybody? He says. But and I had a technical difficulty, so I'm glad we didn't actually go live, coach, until you started going into the boxing.
Yeah. I picked up on that because we had an issue like that on Bayou Sports Talk yesterday. We had an issue like that like several weeks back. So yeah, I saw that. I picked up on it, and that's why I just kept talking.
Yeah, so shout out to the mighty LDBC. Shout out to everybody in chat. Shout out to everybody that's joining me, support me. Appreciate you. Love y'all. If I miss somebody, love you as well.
Bro.
Shout out to the mighty LDBC.
You did miss somebody. You did miss somebody. You know who you missed, right?
Who I miss?
Southern University.
Oh Lord.
but anyway,
shout out to the Jaguars for real. Go ahead.
Yeah, but the crazy thing about it, this is why I know that this is a popular opinion of people thinking Loma actually won the fight, was the fact that even at work, like, people know I'm a sports fan, and it was like, oh, Loma won the fight, and I'm like, well, hey, you're entitled to your opinion, but everything, I just told you, I told him the same thing, but, I'm gonna give you an example, right? I remember when I was a kid, before I really got into boxing, my dad, may he rest in peace, used to talk about all the time how basically George Foreman was beating Muhammad Ali, and until he just ran out of gas and he just punched himself out, and Ali hit him with a flurry, and that was the end of it. Until I really got into boxing, when I watched, some Night of Legends type stuff with Sugar Ray Leonard against Thomas the Hitman Hearns, and I really got into boxing, and I was able to go back and watch, the Foreman and Ali fight. And bro, up until the actual knockout itself, don't get me wrong, like George Foreman landed some bombs on Ali. But a lot of those punches he was throwing, Ali was catching him with his gloves. A lot of those punches he wasn't landing clean and flush. And he was rope-a-doping him. And on the flip side, every punch Ali was throwing, he was landing clean and he was landing flush. And I had a couple rounds that I scored like 10 rounds. But other than that, like the vast majority of those rounds, Ali won. So that narrative over the years that, for the most part, that, Foreman pretty much was beating up Ali until he punched himself out, and Ali hit him with a flurry, and that was the end of the fight. Bro, that's not the case. And that narrative that Loma got robbed, man. It's not even close. Like I said, this is how we know that boxing, it's a race-driven sport, and they manufacture that narrative and they run with the narrative. That's why the LDBC is necessary. But more than anything, that narrative that Loma was robbed, man, is ridiculous. Because like we said earlier,
we seen worse robberies, man.
Way worse
and that wasn't even a rob. That wasn't even a robbery.
It wasn't even a robbery because he actually lost that fight, despite what people might say. But like we said, why is nobody pounding the table for the Rolly Romero situation? Nobody. In fact, he's been rewarded with a title in a fight with Ryan Garcia. So it's like, come on, bro. It's hypocrisy in the sport of boxing.
You saw two technically gifted fighters lock horns. And I ain't gonna lie, I knew a conclusion like this was gonna happen. It was either gonna happen to Devin, Lomachenko. I'm speaking hypothetically here, but I knew something like either Loma won and Devin had a strong case that he won, or vice versa. You know what I mean? But
and the crazy thing about it, a lot of people called it from the running back, and basically Devin and Bill said this going into the fight, like, hey. Our contract is up with Top Rank with ESPN. Hey, let's get an option for Shakur, just an option for another fight. And Bob Haney, I'm sorry, I got to be saying Bob Haney. Bob Arum, he rebuffed that idea, and he was like, no. So if I was Devin Haney, I would just move on. Either I will fight, Tank Davis. It seems as if Tank team hasn't reached out. I don't know. I'm just going on from speculation from what I've seen.
Mr. Shelton, what's up?
What's up, bro? Salute. But anyway, if he doesn't get that fight, then I would just move up to 140 and fight Regis Prograis, because I plan on going to the next upcoming fight of Regis Prograis fighting in New Orleans. I plan on going to that fight. But the thing about it is, it's crazy how everybody's running with this narrative that Loma was robbed. Man, that is not a robbery, and in all actuality, he lost. But one last thing I'm gonna point out, may he rest in peace, brother Nassim Richardson.
Yes.
He talked about years back, he said going into the Andre Ward Sergey Kovalev fight that, you're not used to seeing, these slick boxers, these master technicians who pretty much, dominate every fight they in, and they maybe lose only 1 or 2 rounds per fight, if that much. When you see them in a close fight, you think they lose. And basically everything that happened with Andre Ward and Sergey Kovalev, he pretty much said, like, hey, it's going to be a close fight. People going to think, blah, 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 blah. They're going to run it back. And Andre Ward is going to stop or decisively beat Kovalev. And that's exactly what happened. So I think this situation where people are not really accustomed to seeing, Devin Haney face that much adversity. But it was an excellent fight. They fought on a high level. And, the judge didn't rob it. The right man got the decision, and I'm looking forward to him fighting. At this point, I don't even want to see him fight Shakur, because Shakur hasn't done anything at the lightweight division. I want to either see him fight Tank, or he just needs to move up to 140, because he's draining himself seriously to make weight.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna go as far as to say this. And what's up, ATX Slab Life Cletus, aka Big Texas TWT? What's good, family? Thank you for joining. But I agree. If he sniff around 135, he will lose because of weight drain alone. He too big.
He's
too big. Because he that 12 that around that 10th 11th 12th round, you can see like he was tired, and not from lack of training, it's just
fatigue.
Like fatigue, man.
Just draining that weight, just trying to make weight.
Yeah, somebody will get him if he sniff around
too long.
And family, we will get to the football. Because I've been hot and didn't do a show in a while. I had to touch on the Devin Haney Lomachenko, so we will get to the football. Thank you for being patient with us. But man, but it was a good fight. You gotta give it Loma is high tech as um as advertised. He got the goods. He just would he just didn't beat Devin, man.
Yeah, pretty much, bro. That's what it
He just
was,
ain't
man.
beat Devin.
Yeah.
Um, but first thing we're gonna talk about is some foolishness that happened. Um, a coach opened up his mouth. A coach that's in the conference of my Tar Heels. Uh, for the Pittsburgh Panthers. Is Coach Pat Narduzzi correct about Coach Deion Sanders? So, if you didn't hear, Coach, and people in the chat, head coach Pat Narduzzi basically said that Coach Prime, aka Deion Sanders, basically kicked all those kids off the program so he can basically go digging in the transfer portal. And that's not fair. And basically just talking crap about Coach Deion Sanders. Basically, he doesn't like his method, how he's going on about things in Colorado. Now, starting with you, Coach, because we talked about this. We talking about the migration of all those players leaving the Colorado program and leaving the program at an alarming rate that a lot of us, and we had shows about it, thought that Coach Prime's gonna have a hell of a time trying to get talent on that program. Well, I have to give it to Coach Prime, and of course, we have to see how that talent is going to pan out. But he got talent on that squad. He's getting talent. But what do you think about Coach Pat Narduzzi opening his mouth?
Well, bro, I'm gonna be honest. I think
Be honest.
more than anything, I think he's just trying to draw attention to himself. Maybe he's not a YouTuber, so I can't say he's trying to put clickbait out there. But I think he's just being a attention-seeking female at this point. Because the truth of the matter is, if he said he didn't like the way Coach Prime conducted himself at his initial press conference at the University of Colorado University, then all right, cool. That's understandable. But Coach Prime, when he first came to Colorado, he made it clear, like, hey, y'all weren't a good team. A lot of y'all players, more than likely, y'all not going to be here next season. So he didn't force them out. They went through everything. They played been playing the spring game. And then thereafter, a lot of players has entered the transfer portal after the fact. Now, don't get me wrong. Some players jumped into the transfer portal immediately after the initial press conference and initial meeting. But, I mean, he's doing the same thing that most college coaches do. And the thing that's the icing on the cake with this entire situation is we living in a different era, different day and age. We are living in an era of the transfer portal in an NIL deal, name, image, and likeness. So this is what college football is. The crazy thing about it is, I'm almost certain if he took over a program, Coach Narduzzi, more than likely he was going to do the same thing. He just was going to do it at a slower rate from the standpoint of it wasn't going to be massive turnover, but over the course of a few years, he's going to try to get his players in and put his imprint on his program. So in this instance, he's a hypocrite because that's what all coaches do. Coaches won't bring in college coaches won't bring in their players that fit in their system, their guys, whatever the case may be. So to me, it's asinine. I mean, even if you just look at the SWAC, HBCUs, it's not just HBCUs, it's not just SWAC. The turnover rate is extremely high all across college football, on every level, in every conference. it is what it is. I just did a video about Southern landing this 4-star defensive tackle defensive end, but more than likely he's probably gonna play defensive tackle from Liberty University. His name is Kendrick Zachary. I did a video on that yesterday, and I have multiple videos to come. Players that's coming from Southern, from the transfer portal. So at the end of the day, this is college football. This is the era of college football we living in. So, bro, he just needs to sit down somewhere and just keep his mouth shut, because this is it's ridiculous.
I agree, Coach. You couldn't have said it better myself. And while you were talking, I went and searched for, because I wanted to find what he said verbatim. So Coach Najuzzi says that's not the way it's meant to be. Najuzzi said that's not what the rule intended to be. It was not to overhaul your roster. We'll see how it works out, but that to me looks bad on college football across the country. The reflection is on one guy right now, but when you look at it overall, those kids that have moms and dads, brothers and sisters, and goals in life, I don't know how many of those 70 that really left wanted to leave, or they were kicked in the butt to get out. Several former Colorado players have spoken about why they are no longer with the team, including those who said they didn't get a chance or were pushed out, Najuzzi said. Najuzzi said he was hired as the Panthers coach in 2015. He didn't kick any players off the team. I grew up in a profession that you can't tell a guy that he has to leave based on athletic ability, Najuzzi said. When you become a head coach, you inherit that team and you coach the team. If someone wants to leave, that's great. You don't kick them out. I disagree with the whole process. And that's not the way I got in the game. Now, first of all, Coach Najuzzi in 2015, let's see how the Pittsburgh Panthers were doing in 2014. I just want to see. Okay, they were 6-7. Not good, but not bad, right?
Right.
2015, they were 8-5. So I say that to say this: he took over a decent team, and back then was, correct me if I'm wrong, was the transfer portals rules in 2014 and 15 underway?
No.
That's what I thought. Okay. So let me get this straight. He took over a 6-17. Next year got him to 8-5. Okay. And they wasn't that bad. So Coach Prime took over a 1-10 team.
A 1-win team.
And he told them, there's a video on YouTube about his son, Well Off Media. On the first day that he got to Colorado, he spoke to those players and he told them, hey, I'm gonna make some changes. I'm gonna coach some of y'all out. I'm gonna make some of y'all quit. Not to be mean, because he just, hey, y'all 1-10. So some of y'all is not showing the effort that I believe is going to help me to turn this program around, right? Coach, how many times have you heard coaches in high school, any sport, wrestling, baseball, basketball, say, I'm going to make some of you boys quit, or I'm gonna make you boys hate me? What do you think that means?
Oh, that means he trying to dog walk you, trying to run you into the ground, bro.
To see,
bro.
What are they trying to see when they do that, right?
He's trying to see if you're gonna tap out, if you're gonna quit.
Exactly. He's going to see if, when the going gets tough, if y'all have the mental strength to keep going. And again, this is a one-team we talking about, Coach.
Bro, had New Jersey inherited a one-win team, I promise you, the turnover rate would be extremely high. A lot of players that were on that one-win team would no longer be on his team. So that's why I say, bro, it's hypocrisy. I mean,
exactly.
Man, he inherited that situation. I promise you, we would have handled the situation and addressed the situation the same way. And the crazy thing about it, you talking about, Coach Prime, when he first talked to the team and his initial press conference and everything, he caught a lot of backlash for that. And I'm thinking to myself, like, bro, like, I don't see what he said that was wrong. Now, of course, a lot of individuals, they don't like his swag and his bravado, so they think he arrogant. And, they didn't like that aspect of it. But it wasn't like he was lying. I mean, he didn't inherit a 10-win team. Had they won 10 games last year, he wouldn't be in Colorado. More than likely, he'll be somewhere else. So let's just knock it off, bro.
Yeah, I think Coach Nadruzzi, I get what he's saying, but no, that Coach Deion Sanders is not what he's doing. He's taking he's taking advantage of the transfer portal, but who wouldn't in his position?
Before we transition, bro, let's just spin it, right?
Right.
Because, we talk about Southern all the time, or just HBCUs in general. Look at how many players have, since I was at Southern 2023 Blue versus Gold Spring game. Look how many players from Southern has entered the transfer portal.
Good point.
Elsewhere. Hey, Trey Lang.
Good point.
Trey Lang was going to be, probably one of Southern's best linebackers. He left. He went to the Indiana University. Bashawn McCray, he was the starting quarterback. They gave him the opportunity to move and transfer to another position and play wide receiver. And you're like, no, he did the transfer portal. Nobody's picked him up. So the point I'm trying to make is, whether we talking about Southern, whether we talking about Jackson State, I think Southern just got a running back. They got a running back from Grambling. They got a running back from Alabama A&M. So whether it's players entering the transfer portal and going to other teams in their conference, or they going to bigger Power 5 schools or PWIs, bro, this is the entire landscape of college football. So Pat Nadruzzi is a hypocrite. Like, he's full of feces at this point. Bro, knock it off, bro. Like, just go sit down somewhere and shut up. I don't hear anything he has to say. Not in this context.
Yeah, I want my Tar Heels to beat him again this year. Pittsburgh again, just for running his mouth.
Yeah, he should only win one game.
We beat him.
He should only win one game and see what's going to happen. Let his team only win one game and see what's going to happen.
And not just that, Coach Prime, and good point, Coach. And in addition to what you're saying, Coach Prime, this is his first year coaching at
PWI.
At a PWI. Just coming from Jackson State. And then again, like I pointed out before, when Pat Nadruzzi took over Pittsburgh Panthers football program, the transfer portal rules wasn't like it was now. So yeah, he's talking out the side of his neck now.
Yeah, big time.
But we're gonna move on. But yeah, have a seat, Coach Nadruzzi. Have a seat. You don't know what you're talking about, sir. I had to talk about it. And again, I know we mainly a football show. We will get to the D.Hop question, but will the Miami Heat choke in Game 7? Now, they were up on Boston 3-0. They let Boston come back, and they let Boston tie the series up last night. When I was watching it, the game last night, all the Miami Heat had to do was have Jimmy Butler and Bam turn up. For some reason, I don't know what was going to Jimmy Butler. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know if he's mentally tired. I don't know if his body tired. I don't know what's going on. He was going up to the whole week, getting his shots blocked. Coach, in your opinion, you coaching basketball, what the hell is going on with my man Miami Heat? Or I say my because it's my team, but what's going on with the Miami Heat?
Well, bro, first of all, I initially picked Boston to win in 7. And the problem with Boston is, you saying what's wrong with your Heat is a twofold thing. First of all, Boston is extremely inconsistent. If you look at their playoff run, they were lackluster a couple games against the Atlanta Hawks. They were lackluster against Philadelphia 76ers in the previous series, and they didn't turn it on to the end. And basically, the first 3 games of the series, they just sleptwalked. Now, I think they would have won game 2 had Grant Williams not opened his mouth and poked the bear at his Jimmy Butler. Once he did that and Jimmy Butler kind of was like, a watered-down poor man's version of Michael Jordan, like he just went off the rest of the game, and that propelled him to the game 2 win. And then Miami won game 3, and I think human nature kicked in, and it just, became lackadaisical and relaxed. And that's why once Boston got game 4, then game 5. So last night, my thinking, because, I changed my initial opinion. Initially I thought, Boston going to win in 7, it's going to be a good series. And then Boston came, and they just, because no two ways about it, Boston has a better team. They have more talent, but Miami has dogs. In those first 3 games of the series, Miami just outworked them. And, from a coaching perspective, like Charles Barkley said last night, Boston takes a lot of bad shots because, truth be told, Boston tried to throw that game away. I mean, in the fourth quarter, they were up by 10. At certain points, they were up by 14. They were up by, double digits. And what happened was, Boston take a lot of bad shots. They settle. At one point, they were shooting like 72% from the field. And I'm thinking to myself, you're a bigger team. You're stronger. Like, just get to the cup. Quit trying to live and die by the 3. Y'all are not the Golden State Warriors. Not even the Golden State Warriors, but the Golden State Warriors this year. Because, Klay Thompson, he's a shell of what he was. But the point I'm trying to make is, like, why y'all selling for all these jump shots? One point during the game last night, I don't know if it was Jaylen Brown. I think it might have been Marcus Smart. Like, early in the shot clock, like, they just jacked up like a stupid 3. I'm thinking to myself, it couldn't have been my team because I would have been cutting up. I probably would have been yelling and screaming. It's like, why? Like, dude, you have the lead. So, really, I think Boston tried their level best to give game 6 away. And then, they got it going.
Can we talk about that last play, bro? Like, just the Miami Heat just letting Derek White, not boxing out nobody, not having none of the bigs in the middle, just letting Derek White just doing a tip back in the last few seconds.
Well, bro, initially I said the same thing, but the reason why Derek White was so wide open because he was the person inbounding the ball, and they took his man and they double denied Jason Tatum the ball. So when they denied Tatum the ball and then they denied Jaylen Brown the ball, Marcus Smart flashed for the ball and he was open. He passed it to him and he was able to catch and shoot. So all he did was crash the boards, but there was nobody for him to box out. I mean, there was nobody to box him out because his man was denying Jason Tatum. So he was in a trail position by that point. If you notice, Strus almost blocked the tip back by Derek White. So it's not his fault. It was the fact that just the way the defense was designed, it was designed to take away Jason Tatum. So, that's all it was. It wasn't the fact that from an X and O standpoint, nobody boxed nobody out. It was the fact that the way it was designed, they played man-to-man across the board. Because I've done the same thing too, where instead of guarding the inbound, you don't guard the inbounder. You deny the person that you don't want to catch the ball. In this particular instance, It was Jason Tatum. So the way it was set up, and bro, who would have thought the game would have ended the way it ended? I mean, Boston tried to choke it away, and then Miami got the lead late. Jimmy Butler told him, "Hey, one stop," and they took away the first two options. Smart caught it. He shot the three. Derek White crashed boards. You got the tip in with like what 0.1 seconds left, and that was the end of the game. Because initially when I saw it, I'm like, well, they're gonna review it. Miami won the game. And when they showed the replay, and I'm like, wow, he got the ball with like 0.2 seconds left, and he tipped it in with like 0.1. Bro, that was a phenomenal ending. I mean, it probably was the best NBA playoff game I've seen in a long time, bro.
I will give the Heat its credit. I will, except for Bam and Butler, they the all-stars, they the superstars on the team. They need to play like it. But
I ain't lie.
Around the third quarter, I was like, you know what, we lost, but how they battled back to even get the lead, I was impressed by. But it was an ugly loss, ugly ass loss. Go ahead, Coach.
The only few teams that actually, came back from 0-3 down to force the game 7. And that game 7, all those teams were at home. Last one I can recall was, the Scottie Pippen Portland Trailblazers against the Dirk and the Dallas Mavericks. Basically, they forced the game 7, but Dallas was at home. All those other teams, or previous teams, were at home. Miami's on the road. Bro, I'm going to be honest with you. I think Boston's going to make history. I think they're going to get this game 7.
I'm going to say this.
I think Jimmy Butler and Bam going to show up tomorrow night. But the problem is, like, you gave Miami life. I mean, you gave Boston life, and I think Boston going to close it out.
I'm going to say this. As a Heat fan, I'm surprised we made it this far. I'm not going to lie.
Mm-hmm.
And how inconsistent we played the last two games. Of course, game 1 and 2 and 3, we played lights out. But the game 5 and 6, I was like, there we are. There go the Heat that I know.
Well,
I'm sorry to say, I don't have faith in my Heat winning game 7 because I feel like nobody can stop Jaylen Brown. They can contain him, but Jaylen Brown, as you saw yesterday, was going to the basket at will. And Tatum turning up don't make it no better. And then if Marcus Smart start hitting shots and going to the hole at will, it's too much. And don't get me wrong, we got some dogs on our squad. It's just nobody is playing. The stars are not playing, especially Bam and Butler are playing too inconsistent to me to trust them. So I'm gonna go as far as say this, Coach. If we beat Boston, all we did was just beat Boston so we can get slaughtered by the Nuggets. Because I don't see nobody beat. We can't hold the Joker, man.
Yeah. Well, see, the thing about it is, what you saw with the first 2 games of the season.
Murray, go ahead.
I think more than anything, I think it was a combination of the fact that Miami got dogs and Miami outworked them and Miami got heart. But the fact that those first 3 games, man, Boston just laid down, bro. And especially in game 3, bro, they were complaining about every call. I'm like, bro, you got touched and you crying and whining and complaining like a little broad. Like, what is wrong with you, So I think it wasn't just the fact that Miami played well in those first 3 games. Boston played like trash in those first 2 games. And game 4, they turned up. Game 5, they really turned up. And I'm going to be truthful. I think Boston, they survived more than they won yesterday. But the problem with that is they forced the game 7. Now, I think Bam and Jimmy Butler, I think they're going to show up. But the problem is, I think Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown going to show up also. And I think, history is going to be made. And like you say, bro, either team, neither team has a
shot against the Nuggets.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to get slaughtered, but
No,
I
but
see the Nuggets, whether it's Boston, whether it's Miami. I see Boston winning. I see Denver winning the finals in 6 games because nobody can match up with the Joker. Because basically he's like a point center. He facilitates the offense, and Jamal Murray, he really starting to round back in the form for when he got hurt in the bubble a few years ago. Because yesterday we was talking about this on Bayou Sports Talk. My sister was like, she anticipated the Lakers and blah 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 blah. I'm like, no, I mean, I say going into the series, I thought Denver was going to win because Denver has a much deeper team than the Lakers, which they did. They showed. I thought they were going to win in maybe 6 or 7. I didn't think they were going to sweep the Lakers. I didn't see that coming.
me neither.
But the thing about it is, the fact that they didn't have anybody match up with the Joker, and in addition to that, Jamal Murray is getting back to where he was in the bubble. Those first couple games in the bubble where he really went off. He's getting back to being that guy.
Yeah, and I just want to shout out to some people in the chat before we move on. Salute Jay Bard, what's up? He said salute brothers in chat. He said keep grinding, brothers. We are. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
And Brandon Brazil said read him his rights. Yeah, I had to. Coach Pat Nujudi tripping.
For real,
but
bro.
But it's safe to say either way history's gonna be made, whether Boston does what no team has ever done in the playoffs, which come back from a 3-0 deficit to tie it up and then win.
Yeah, no team in NBA history, but
NBA history, excuse me. So, and another part of history probably gonna be made is the Nuggets are gonna get their first ever championship.
Yeah.
So history could be made in these playoffs. But I love my Heat, but I just don't have faith in them. How they playing right now. And if they do get past Boston, I don't have faith in them to beat the Nuggets in a full 7-game series. But moving on. What everybody been waiting on and what the title is about, of the show is about. What team is a better fit for D.Hop?
Well, I'm not going to make the homer pick and say the Saints. It's not going to happen because, truthfully speaking, even though Michael Thomas is not what he once was, he's injury prone. The Saints have Chris Olave. They drafted A.T. Perry in the later rounds. For those HBCU fans that really follow us closely on the Southern Baller Show, myself and my brother Jared, we both high. I'm sorry. Myself and my brother Jared, we both high on Shaq Davis.
Shaq Davis, yes, sir.
So Shaq Davis has signed with the Saints as an undrafted free agent. So I think more than likely the Saints are going to cut Traquan Smith finally because he's long overdue. I think Shaq Davis might make the team. They're expecting big things from A.T. Perry. You got Chris Olave. You got Rashid Shaheed. They signed Foster Morrow. You got Jawan Johnson. You got Mike Thomas. So I'm going to be truthful. I don't think the Saints need DeAndre Hopkins. I think the Ravens, in terms of the Ravens being the answer, I think that's too easy. And, after Rudolph said what he said yesterday on the show on Body Sports Talk, I went back and looked at it. Unless they give him like some type of incentive-laden contract or players are going to restructure the contracts for the Ravens, I don't think the Ravens really have the cap space to really get him.
Oh, we'll make space, man. We'll make space.
But anyway, I'm gonna be honest with you. I think that it's too easy. But to me, I think just on the surface, that probably would be the best fit for him. Outside of that, then you go down to maybe a team like the Chiefs. If the Chiefs were able to get DeAndre Hopkins, bro, that would be so scary. It almost be unfair to the other team.
Yeah, Brandon Rosales just said it in the chat. Please don't curse at me like that again, Brandon.
So,
you too, Coach. That's scary to scary to meet up in the playoffs with a
So
Chiefs team with D-Hop. Go ahead, coach.
so I don't think he's going to sign with the Chiefs. However, another team that's going to be even scarier, or just as scary, bro. I think he might end up with the Buffalo Bills. Me personally.
Oh no.
Yeah, bro.
And you know what? I would love him with the Ravens. You know, if you just Google Baltimore Ravens D-Hop, you'll see a lot of Baltimore Ravens, favorite channels, YouTube channels, talking about how we want D-Hop. You know what I mean? And that would be great. But in reality, like you said, there teams like the Bills, the Jets, Cowboys, even the Chiefs. I can also see D-Hop going to those teams. So the Baltimore Ravens may not even be an option, sadly, and that hurts my heart to say. Especially with the what you sent me, Coach. The ESPN doc clip you showed me about them saying that the Bills, the Chiefs, the Jets, the Cowboys, and the Saints may be a better fit for D-Hop, but it's all based on what D-Hop wants. We can get these things right. You know, people swearing up and down that Lamar Jackson wasn't going back to the Ravens, but look what's going on. So
look what happened.
we never know. Baltimore old EDC, which is Eric DeCosta, Baltimore Ravens general manager, may sneak up behind people and surprise everybody, but who knows?
I mean, and just the thing, bro. My cousin said yesterday on the show that he think the best fit for him would be Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm like, bro,
no,
I don't see it.
Yeah, and one thing I know about your coach. What was his name? Rudolph.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was making some points, and then when he got to saying that Lamar Jackson is not all that accurate, and we a running team and everything, I was like, yeah, he's not paying attention to what we're doing over here.
Yeah.
We got rid of Greg Roman, who can't draw up a passing scheme that will full defense to save his life with a middle school wide receiver routes. You know what I mean? He was mostly his bread and butter was running the ball. So that's why we got Todd Monken, who's our new offensive coordinator. He was Georgia Bulldogs offensive coordinator. He did spend some time with the Browns and other teams, but he helped the Georgia Bulldogs win a champion. He was part of the first championship with the Georgia Bulldogs. Salute Brent Fox. He said, "Salute my brothers, Gerald Oliver." No, I'm tongue tied tonight. Gerald Oliver Green, Coach C7 Sports TV, LDBC.
Salute, brother.
Salute, brother Brent. Always support and love you, man. I was gonna bring in JB and Brent, but it was on short notice, so I didn't want to bother those brothers.
Yeah,
I got y'all next time. Brandon said they can't give him an incentive based on contract if you write them as unlikely to reach the incentives they count against the next year. Okay. Hey, living with Big Red, you ain't lying, man. He said, I pray he don't go to the Chiefs. Yes, Father God, no.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that would be so scary. Just think about it, you got DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. Oh my goodness, bro.
That's scary, but going back to what Brandon Bazell said, basically he's saying that there's ways we can sign him. There's ways we can sign him. So we, some people, like you said, people deals may have to be restructured. Contract may have to be restructured, and we might have to trade somebody, like a Patrick Queen or somebody, but
Hey, there's been a lot of scuttlebutt, like this, talking about the Saints potentially getting Patrick Queen. So if that's necessary, hey, to get DeAndre Hopkins, if I was the Ravens, I'll go for it. And the thing about it, bro, that the crazy thing about it is initially when this was, like, hey, DeAndre Hopkins got cut from the Cardinals, and I'm like, what? I'm not gonna lie, bro. The Ravens was the first team I thought about. So that's why I was saying earlier, it'll probably be just too easy for me to say the Ravens because in my mind, that's the first team that really stood out, bro. I'm not even gonna lie.
yeah, and going back to people saying that he can't throw, y'all need to pay more attention to Lamar
Well,
Jackson's game because with the scheme that Greg Roman had, it's impossible to be like Patrick Mahomes or a quarterback that throws
and
you know what's scary? You know what other team that could get him though?
who?
The Colts.
Man, bro, I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. To me, there's only two routes he really could take. He can either go, I'm gonna try to win a championship route, or he gonna go I'm trying to get a bag route. I think maybe if he go with the Ravens, like I was saying yesterday, I think it'll kind of be like in the middle. I'm gonna try to get paid and I'm gonna try to win the ring. And the thing about, in defense of what Rudolph was saying, I'm gonna be truthful, probably outside of when they played on Monday Night Football against the Saints. He might have he watches a lot of NFL football, but I'm sure he only saw the Ravens maybe like a handful of times on the course of the season. So like you say, he probably not watching y'all game in and game out.
Yeah,
The way he watching the Saints game, and he literally watch every Saints game.
Yeah, and he's just falling. It sounds like he's just falling to the narrative that people
Yeah,
just saying about Lamar just being real.
And that's the thing about it. I think because I don't know if you noticed this, over the last few years, but they've compared Lamar Jackson a lot to Michael Vick, and Michael Vick essentially was an athlete that had incredible arm talent, but wasn't like crazy accurate.
Crazy accurate, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why, basically Algie Crumpler was his top target. And of course, to complement that, you had TJ Duckett, Warwick Dunn, DVD.
Peerless Prices, people like that, yeah.
So for the most part, the Falcons were a run heavy team. Mike Vick was explosive and dynamic, and anytime he needed to pass the ball, Algie Crumpler was his like he said all the time, his security blanket. So for the most part, I think, like you said, he just kind of fell into that Mike Vick narrative. And even though Mike Vick had incredible arm talent, he wasn't like crazy accurate. He could throw the ball probably about 80 yards, but he wasn't crazy accurate. That's why they always put emphasis on him throwing the ball out the backfield, the work done, him going to Algie Crumpler, the big body tight end.
That's exactly what it is, Coach. Yeah. That's exactly what it is. And let me tell you something. What's my favorite team in college? And you see the icon.
North Carolina Tar Heels, baby.
And what school did Lamar Jackson go to?
Louisville, University of Louisville.
Both those teams are in the ACC. So we saw a lot of Lamar Jackson. So we seen Lamar Jackson. We seen before we even knew who he was. We seen him throw over our defense like it wasn't nothing. And a lot of the wide receivers he can throw, he threw it to on that Louisville offense. If you Google their names, most of them not on the roster.
Yeah.
And he was throwing the ball against Florida State defenses, not just ACC people who are not impressed by the ACC talent. He was doing the same thing against Florida State, other Power 5 schools who were ranked. The boy can throw. He just needed a coordinator.
Well, see,
to help scheme, and Greg Roman wasn't it. So we say all that to say this: if D.Hop gets on the squad, the ball, he's gonna be a great toy for Lamar to play with. That's all I got to say.
And and just kind of reiterate what he was saying. Basically, what he was saying is that he's an athlete. He can run a lot. He was saying he's accurate, but basically he was saying he's not elite level accurate. And basically because he was comparing him to Jones and Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. And I'm like, bro, just the game against the Saints, I'm not even gonna lie. He had some plays where he was like Houdini and he got out of a tight spot and he threw darts down the field and Ravens receiver just dropping passes, and I'm like,
exactly,
bro. If he had some receivers, man,
I'm telling you, throwing the ball like other people have. Other teams had Deandre Hop, which he's free. He's free agent now, and Jefferson and Jamar Chase. Other teams have wide receivers like that to play with. We had wide receivers named Willie Earl, and so you throwing the ball to no name. I mean, what do you expect? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Our best wide receiver on the squad is a tight end.
Now, but before we get in this topic, bro, where do you think he's going to land? I mean, what do you think he's thinking? You think he wants to get a bag, or you think he wants to have a chance to win the Super Bowl, or a combination of the two?
Whatever, I'm gonna answer it. It's gonna be an open-ended question, but it's my answer. I'm gonna give you whatever team that he picks. If he doesn't pick Baltimore, if he doesn't pick the Bills, if he doesn't pick the Chiefs, then he doesn't want to win a championship. But he picks those three teams. He's tired of being with franchises like the Texans and the Cardinals that barely sniff the playoffs every year. If he picks those three teams that I just said, he hungry for a championship.
Well, hold up, bro. I mean, if that's the case, as a Saints fan, I can say the same thing. Don't get me wrong. I don't think Derek Carr is an elite level quarterback, but the Saints playing a trash division, and I'm gonna be truthful. The NFC is nothing to write home about.
Coach, I love you. But Derek Carr, if y'all make it to the playoffs, y'all ain't gonna last long.
Bro, I'm gonna keep it real. Have you seen the Saints division? That division is trash, bro.
That's my point. If y'all get out y'all trash division, when y'all go against teams that's battle hard,
barring injury, not if, but when they make it out the division. The crazy thing about it, bro, the NFC. I mean, if anything, he'd have an easier path to the Super Bowl if he picked the NFC team, because all of those teams you named in the AFC, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Bengals, all three of those teams Super Bowl contenders. You don't know who's going to knock who off when they get to the playoffs. But if you look at those NFC teams, bro, you got a clearer path to the Super Bowl, to be truthful, because the NFC is wide open. Even if you look at, the top teams last year, you look at the Eagles, bro, there's no guarantee that the Eagles are going to be back in a Super Bowl. You look at the 49ers, with their quarterback situation, hey, do you want to go to San Francisco? No, not really. So, I mean,
I'll give y'all this. Y'all not a bad squad. For what y'all have right now, y'all not a terrible, awful squad. But bro, I don't know about y'all. Hold on.
I don't playoff team, bro.
I don't know about y'all offensive line. I don't trust Derek Carr, and he's a good quarterback, not a great. But I like the signing. I don't think y'all offensive line is the offensive line of old when Drew Brees had the keys to the car. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. Drew Brees made the offensive line look better than what it really was, because Armstead, he was hurt all the time, bro. Andrews Pete, another one, he is injury prone.
And I like that pick, and I ain't mean to interrupt you, Jamal Williams. If y'all offensive line turn out to be good, all you have to do is give Jamal Williams the ball in goal line situations, and y'all got a touchdown almost every time y'all in that situation. So y'all got some pieces y'all can do something, but I just don't know.
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
You know, the left tackle situation. All right, I grant you that. Pete, he had to restructure his deal. He often injured. Ruiz, he's playing right guard, but his best position is center. And you got Will Clapper center, but Ryan Ramczyk is a dog at right tackle. So you're right. The offensive line is up and down, is inconsistent. But in terms of the wide receiving core, I think they're decent. Running back situation, like we know Kamara probably gonna be out minimum half the season, but the running back situation is solid. Now the defense, I think the defense is probably more of a question mark than the offensive side. I think if they could get an outside linebacker like a Patrick Queen, I think that'll help them go a long way. But at this point, they're the best team in their division, barring injuries. So.
And my bad for interrupting you, Coach. I just had to say things before I lost it. But go ahead.
No. I mean, so for the most part, I think the main thing you want to do is get in the playoffs, especially in the NFC. Whereas the AFC, you don't want to see Cincinnati early in the playoffs. You don't want to see Kansas City. You don't want to see Buffalo. You don't want to see those three teams. Whereas in the NFC, even with Philly being what Philly was, of course, they're still going to be the favorite to go to the Super Bowl. But, bro, you don't have no teams in the NFC you're really shaking your boots for when you see them in the playoffs.
That's true. Right? Now, I will say this. If Alvin Kamara can stay healthy enough for y'all to, let's say, hypothetically, y'all make to the playoffs and he's healthy, y'all can do some things. Because that boy could do anything. He was Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey. He could catch pass. He's like an extra wide receiver basically, and he can run that ball hard. But he just hasn't been healthy for y'all.
But and the problem is, bro, he's gonna be out minimum half the season. He may get suspended for the entire season. There's no telling.
Yeah, but. Going back to the D.Hop, I can see y'all. I can see y'all getting D.Hop, but I don't think he's gonna go to y'all. And reading some of the comments in the chat, living big with Big Red said they can open up space by extending Patrick Queen as well. That's a good point.
Yeah.
And
I used to use on Madden all the time, bro.
Yep. And also, the Jets may be an option for D.Hop or even the Chargers. And again, a good point, Big Reg. If he goes to those teams right there, Chargers, they're a playoff team, but they're not consistent. Excuse me, but if he go to a team like the Jets, he's just going there for the moolah.
But to say I completely disagree with the Jets being a viable option because, as far as I'm concerned, Aaron Rodgers is done, bro.
Yeah,
Aaron Rodgers is completely done.
I agree. But it's gonna be interesting. Like I said, those who's listening to me right now, pay attention to what team D.Hop eventually picks or make a deal with. If he goes to the Bills, if he goes to the Chiefs, if he goes to the Ravens, hell, if he even goes to the Chargers.
I mean, I like the quarterback play for the Chargers, but I'm not sold on the Chargers as a team, bro.
Okay, we can exit out the Chargers, but just the, like I said, the Bills, Ravens, and Chiefs. If he signs with those three teams, he's tired. He won a championship now.
Well, I mean, bro, the crazy thing about it is there's no foregone conclusions. I don't care who he signs with. So even if he signed with the Chiefs, bro, there's no guarantee the Chiefs gonna win a Super Bowl. There's no guarantee that's gonna happen. But I think
there's no guarantee, but they damn got a good shot.
Well, that's true too. But I mean, hey, I've seen crazier things happen. Hey, I done seen Tom Brady get his leg rolled up on. He out for the rest of the year as a Patriot. So
that's true.
Those type of things happen. I mean, there's no foregone conclusions. I mean, and then the thing about it is he has the options outside of those three teams. Because Even though I said, if he joins the Saints, I think they a Super Bowl contender for certain. I'm gonna be the Eagles still a front runner in the NFC. I mean, I don't think they would have the cap space to get him. I don't know what the cap situation looked like, but bro, if he went to the Eagles, I would
Oh
be against.
hell!
Yeah,
Again, that was another one of those teams. He won a
yeah,
championship now
yeah,
because he's 30. You know, that's old for football years. In
yeah.
football years.
Once you get on the wrong side of 30,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, especially if you're a Madden fan like I was for years, even 2K, whatever. Once players get on the wrong side of
You
30,
see that -2 and -1.
yeah, they gradually just declining year after year.
Yeah, that's that old school PS2 or original Xbox Madden, which is the best Maddens.
Oh no, hey, even on 2K, hey, a player get to 30, hey, like you said,
Yep.
two -2, -3, and they start to drastically decline.
Yep.
And by
That's
that
how it
point,
was.
by that point, hey, I gotta trade him. I might take a little cap hit, but boom, I'm gonna trade him or whatever, or release him, whatever.
There you go. And our final topic of the night, Coach. Fine, those who don't know are boxing heads. Again, it's not a football topic, but it's big on these YouTube streets right now regarding sports and boxing. So we couldn't avoid it. How do you feel about the big welterweight fight finally being made? Bud or the truth? Who you got? Coach, you pause, man. Can you hear me? Coach gonna come back in, y'all. But this fight, those who've been following boxing, this fight has been avoiding us for a minute. But they finally got it done. It's set to happen July 29th. Hopefully that date stays where it's at. But things can happen, unfortunately. But for right now, the date is July 29th. And we got Coach back with us. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you, bro. Chromebook like it's trying to die on me, so it is what it is.
Oh, man. Well, you're doing good. You're doing good, but we're going to continue to grind it out and conclude everything with the Bud Spence talk. So, again, I was asking the question, how do you feel about the big welterweight fight finally being made? Bud or the truth? Who you got?
Well, first of all, in terms of the fight, as a boxing fan, I was extremely skeptical when I initially heard the news. I said to myself, bro, this fight is probably about 5 years past expiration date. I think the thing that kind of turned me off was when Bud stepped away from the negotiating table and he fought David Avenetian last year because supposedly it was supposed to fight in November. So I'm not gonna lie, bro. When I initially heard the news, I didn't think the fight was official, and I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of turned off with the whole David Avenetian situation, Bud fighting him. But, once, he put the picture out with, basically the cropped Aquaman picture with the pitchfork and the shark through the pitchfork. I'm like, okay, we might be on to something. Because, Mike Carpenter, I really take anything he said with a grain of salt. Even with the ESPN report, I really wasn't too much into it. But, when, Spence, dropped the pictures he dropped, I'm like, okay, now we official. I still was a little turned off on it because I don't know if y'all saw, when 7-8, or when he had open panel, I jumped in. With him, Drew Tiger.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that.
So so initially, I was skeptical, but the fact that it's official, it's starting to pick up steam. They were on First Take, so my interest is peaked again. I'm kind of hyped about the fight. I think Spence is gonna win. I think it's gonna be a Night of Legends type fight. Meaning that it's gonna be like a Sugar Ray Leonard versus Thomas the Hitman Hearns type fight. It's gonna be
Oh
a classic.
man.
I think I'm gonna pick Spence. I think he's gonna win 115, 113. And for those non-boxing fans that don't know, that's basically 7 rounds to 5. I think the way the fight is gonna go because at this point in his career, even though Spence is a southpaw, but he's a switch hitter. But at this point in his career, he does his best work from the southpaw stance, even though he's a right-handed person. But just kind of like Winky Wright, he does his best work as a southpaw. So essentially, you got two southpaws facing off, just like Loma and just like Bernard Hopkins in his heyday. Bud starts very slow, and Spence, he gets out the blocks quick. He does a lot of nasty, vicious body work. So I think Bud is gonna start off slow. I think he probably gonna spot Spence maybe the first 5, 6, 7 rounds. And then I think he's gonna figure Spence out and he gonna make his necessary adjustments and he gonna run off several rounds. And I think Bud's gonna do, just enough to come up short. And I think Spence is gonna do just enough to hold him off. I think it's gonna be a controversial fight in terms of, Bud fans gonna think Bud has won the fight. Spence fan is gonna think he's won the fight. Just to kind of like, similar to the controversy with Devin the Dream Haney and Vasil High-Tech Lomachenko. I think it's going to be a controversial fight, and it's going to lead to, since both of them have a two-way rematch clause, I think you're going to get a rematch more than likely at the junior middleweight division because at this point, I think Spence is barely making 147, so I think both of them are going to move up in a rematch, and then I think he's probably going to win the rematch more decisively, but in terms of the first fight itself, I think it's going to be a classic, and I think Errol Spence Jr. is going to edge it out. I think the fact that Bud starts slow and the fact that Bud is a dog and
Yeah.
in instances, if you get the best of him, he's not going to want to just box and just figure it out. No, he's going to get back right away. I think that's going to cost him because, Spence is a bigger, stronger fighter. I think that benefits, Errol Spence Jr. So I think the big fish is going to be victorious in this particular fight.
All right. Okay. Before I give my take, I'm gonna go in the comment section. Living Big with Big Red said, now he did say he wants to play for a team with a young, talented quarterback and a good defense. So, okay. All right. So that means the Baltimore Ravens got a shot. We'll see.
Well, I mean, Jacksonville can have a shot also based on what he said.
Oh, that's true. But their defense is okay. Brandon Brazil said NFL 2K was better than Madden. Got scared and bought the NFL rights. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, I mean, I don't see that for certain years because I know at one point, this might be a little bit before your time, but I remember they had Madden. This one of, a little stretch where I didn't buy Madden. I used to buy NFL Game Day. I felt like NFL Game Day was better than Madden at a certain point, but then Madden took over again. 2K, I always kind of saw 2K more as a basketball game. I really wasn't into the football aspect of it. But even before 2K, I used to like NBA Live too. So certain games were popular at a certain time frame. So,
I remember Game Day, like 03. It was okay. But, Madden and...
I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like 98, 99, Game Day was that game. But Madden was more popular. The thing I didn't like about Madden, before it started to get real hard when you get to All Madden, All Pro, All Madden. At certain points, Madden was difficult. But in those days, bro, you played All Madden. Even All Madden wasn't really, a challenge. But you played Game Day, and you got to that expert level, bro. I mean, of course, the game, when you get to these certain games, like, if you play Hall of Fame mode on 2K, it's like, oh, man, this game is cheating. It wasn't to the point where it was cheating with Game Day, but you had a challenge. You just wasn't going to walk over the computer. So,
Right. But I remember the game, when Game Day was on his last leg. That's what I remember the games. But my bread and butter was the Madden on that PS2. especially like 04 with.
Ooh, 04 was my game, bro.
Yeah, you know what was the rule, coach? Nobody get if you playing with friends, nobody get the Falcons because Michael Vick was a cheat code on that game.
Yeah, bro. Well, I ain't gonna lie. I was such a dog in 04, bro. Even if you took Vic, I was gonna find a way to shut him down, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yo, you the first because I didn't know. A lot of people couldn't. A lot of people couldn't.
Bro, I used to come up with all kinds of spy Vic and all kind of stuff. I think I played against one of my cousins one time, and he really wasn't. He really didn't play video games like that. But even with that being said, he played me to a tie. We couldn't go into overtime. He was the only person that really kind of played me close because I don't know what it was back then. Everybody wanted to throw the ball, and when you throwing the ball, you just playing right in my hands because I was gonna come up with some kind of crazy zone defense. I was gonna get a pick six, and then it was gonna be a wrap. Because if I got up by 2 scores, I wasn't gonna lose. So he was the only person that figured out like, hey, I need to have a balanced attack. I need to run the ball. I need to pass the ball some. So he played me to a tie, but that was about it. Once I really got to hang up 04, man, nobody would beat me.
That was a good old day. And 05 wasn't too shabby too.
No, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I didn't like 05. To me,
Man, on
at
that
certain point,
defense side of the ball, it was everything. Go ahead, coach.
at certain point, it was like every other year for me. I loved 04. 04 was like one of my. Well, it was like maybe 2000, maybe like 02, 04, 06, 08, and 09. All those were my years, bro.
I ain't gonna lie, a lot of people don't know. 09 on PS2 is slept on.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I used to love 09 on PS2, bro. I wouldn't even lie. Me and Rudolph, we used to play that game like crazy, bro.
09 on PS3 and it was trash, but on on PS2 is a gem. People talking about Madden 08 with Vince Young on it. Madden 09 is up there too. A lot of people don't know that.
Oh, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I used to love 08, bro. 08 was a
I
beast.
love 08 too, bro. 09 is up there. But Brandon Brazil said I played game day over Madden also. Okay, another game day fan. Okay.
Oh
And
no,
Brandon Brazil said Barry Sanders and Madden 99 on Nintendo 64. Yeah, he was unstoppable, I heard.
no, I ain't gonna lie, bro. See, like 98, 99. I ain't gonna lie, bro. Game day was official.
I heard. Man, but we got it off a tangent talking about video games, man. But it's okay. But my opinion on this fight, I think I picked um Errol Spence to win, but he got to be careful because I know a lot of people think Errol Spence is the bigger, stronger fighter. Um, but Bud got what I call that cocky strength. Even though he's real skinny, he's very strong. So that's why a lot of times he when he knocks people down or knocks people out, it's a flash knockout. So Bud has to be careful. Excuse me, Earl has to be careful. But if I wouldn't be surprised if Errol has to get off the canvas to win this fight. And if he does have to get off the canvas, he's knocking Terrence Crawford out. That's my take. But of course, I could be wrong because Terrence Crawford has the goods. But I'm picking Bud to win. Coach, you going in? I think you're trying to say something, but you're lagging. Can you hear me, Coach?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. All right. But what I was saying was, I know Bud has the goods. You know, he very talented, very strong for his size. But I think Errol's going is just gonna win. He's going to overwhelm Terrence with a lot of body shots. So he's gonna kill the body and then move up to the head, Joe Frazier style, but more calculated, in a more calculated way.
I can see that, bro.
Yeah, but we definitely could be wrong. But I'm just, I know it's a long time coming. You know, they had many chances to make this fight, but I'm just glad it's the wait is finally over, and we got a date now. But July is not even a few. Just after June, we got June, and then most of July to wait. But anything can happen till then, so we'll see. But I'm excited that both fighters got on live TV and said, yeah, they ready to go. So, you know, the anticipation is going to be crazy. But guys, I thank you for taking time out of your Sunday to come tune in to another installment of the Southern Baller Show. I appreciate all y'all in the chat. Coach 67 Sports TV, you know I love you, brother. Let people know where they can meet you and see you.
Okay. Right here on YouTube at Coach 67 Sports TV. Coach 67 Sports TV on all social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. Also, I'm getting ready to drop, some more uh, Southern University players transferring to Southern University via the transfer portal. Just recruits that committed to Southern University. So, check out for that. Shout out to the awesome and amazing LDBC.
Yes, sir.
And shout out to the greatest university in the world, the Southern University, home of the mighty Jaguars. Hopefully, y'all enjoyed the show. Shout out to everybody that been rocking with us since day one. Hope y'all have a blessed and phenomenal evening and a blessed, safe, and phenomenal Memorial Day. We'll catch y'all on the rebound. Y'all be blessed.
Yes, I second that. Again, thank you guys for tuning in. Y'all have a blessed Sunday. Y'all be safe. Shout out to the mighty LDBC. And we are out of here.